What's funny is the larger loss of data from Google side favors on imports more from where they came from. Because if I can't see the second, third, and fourth, fifth click, I have less to attribute to PMAX. And I have more to attribute to first click.
I think that's the key factor right there. Literally what you just said is like attributing more to first click versus last click. Because like, I mean, obviously the data is always gonna, like you just said, the data driven. You're mainly just pushing it in a direction, or not just like I thought before. You were just only sending in the first click, and like you were blocking the rest of the data, like completely blocking it. But no, you're just giving it more first click data to then attribute, not necessarily blocking the last click and the second click. So that makes a lot of sense.
We already know.
I'd be curious to see how this would have done if we still had first click inside of Google. I think that would be amazing, because then that means like 100% is just going to go towards the top of funnel completely, and you have CAPI imports on top of that. So I wish that was still a thing.
Yeah, I wish Google didn't just try to hide everything from us that we needed to see anyway. It's like, why take away attribution? What is the point? What's the point of taking away attribution?
It's probably a technical issue on their end for like privacy.
Or they can't see back to the first click.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And so if they can't see back to the first click, if I upload, like what people are mostly doing, they're kind of like uploading last click. It's like once the conversion happens, it gets uploaded.
Yeah.
That is
the worst thing you could do, I feel like.
If that worked, your standard tracking Google would work, right? Because once you see the last click, it can go all the way back to the first click and then show you the full scope of what happened. Well, we know that doesn't happen. So if we import last click, like Google just simply counts last click, why would it be any different that if we imported a last click, it would go all the way back and find the first click and then display it properly? No, that would have meant that tracking would never have been broken.
Yeah.
But if I import first click and it misses where the next click came from, or it thinks that that next click is a different user, now the first click is actually what would be reflected inside of the campaign, and where that come into standard shopping. That's why standard shopping still beat it. Performance Max, when you can't see where the first click came in from, always looks best on last click. But when you can see where the first clicks come in from, if it thinks that the last click is a different person, perfect. Now we have more reflective attribution.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. We have to push in first click and then wait for it to lose a whole bunch of data and then see where it lands.
I'm just like, I've completely shifted a lot of points of views on stuff, because to me, though, that also makes it to where YouTube might be more viable. Well, actually, no, because then it still gets retargeted as well, too. Yeah, that's tough. That's very tough. It's like you're not really changing the engine. You're just adjusting it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're feeding it better data and then optimizing off of what we know to be true, which is, even, let's just say PMAX actually beats standard shopping in this test. When I scaled, I'm still only going to scale standard shopping, because I know the functionality of PMAX is to be more warm, and I know the functionality of standard shopping to be more cold, and I will try to scale that accordingly.
That's, I think that's where the majority of the value comes from too, as marketers, is like, you're not necessarily just pushing a button and going, you're building it off of like what the platform's going to do.
Yeah.
The biggest curiosity I have, though, on this is like, so with that being the case on Google, what is like the attribution case inside of Meta then? So is it the same data driven, or is it that 7-day click window based on what you said?
It actually still pushes through the same thing. So what's interesting is, and this is one of the reasons why I believe that when you're running Meta, let's do this one here, Solid Strike. This is a new Meta launch. It's new this month. And in the last 30 days compared to the previous period, again, let me just pause cameras. This thing sucks for me. It's just so blurry. There we go. And this is when we, took these campaigns from basically brand new on the 31st. Really, this is like our actual first day here. We had to actually pause. Come on, give me my actual previous period. There we go. So this is where we actually pause. Well, this one, 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 this one. Pretty much every single thing in the account. Like, we had a real big technical structure and setup. And then we launched like 2, and we just kept on our old remarketing campaign, and we funneled all of our ad spend into here. So you add 10 grand there, add 36 grand there, add 20 grand there. And what we're counting is just first click, but you can actually see how it tried to go warm until it was steered off into the other direction. Here's what I mean. Day one, new campaigns launch. We're optimizing off of new customer and returning customer. We have where was our no purchases day one for anything or new customers. This thing, easy to go warm. Actually had 2 returning customers, 1 new. While we're optimizing for returning, it actually has more new than the new customer campaign. So we spent $800 and literally just wiped our ass with that $800. We didn't get anything. This campaign here shows 3 new, 1 returning, because this is our old campaign. Then day 2 comes around and we see now 3 purchases, 2 returning, 1 new. Okay, so still going 66-33 warm. Day 2, do we have 1 NC, 1 RC? So from 66 to 50-50. Day 3, I promise I will not go day by day for the rest of the month. We had...
You're good. I just have allergies right now, so...
Oh, yeah. What? And I'm just saying for everyone watching, if they're about to fall asleep, it gets better, trust me. We still have no new, 1 returning. 4, 5, 6, 7, 13 new, 12 returning. Still 50-50. Next week, 45 new customers, 51 returning. Approximately 50-50, still skewed a little bit more towards returning. Next week, now it's 86 new, 57 returning. So finally, by the start of the second week, 15th of the month, which was right after the first, 2 weeks later, now this thing is starting to optimize towards new customers. 86-57. This returning customer has been just nailing it 80 and 7, because this is where it wants to go originally. It wants to get returning customers. So it was just like right off the bat. I think in the second week, this thing was already like optimized with 22 returning, 4 new. Like this thing was ready to go.
Yeah.
So finally on the second week, which is we launched approximately on the first, so 2 weeks later, this thing finally actually starts to get, now when you compare it to the previous period, this one is actually starting to increase now faster than our scale. So same amount spent, $47 or 47% cheaper on new customers and 91% more first-time customers. Our returning customers went from stupid thing there. Went from 57, well, no. There we go. 45.51 to 86.57. So we literally just doubled our first-time customers without having to see a returning customer increase.
So, but wouldn't you just say that's due to the lag time from when it launches to like when it actually gets attributed to the new customer?
Absolutely. But
Okay.
you could see it starting to go warm, and it tried to keep jumping back into warm. Where in the first week, it was like still 66 or 50-50. And now by week 3, it's 271.75.
Yeah.
And then by week, this last week, I guess I'll just say is, the Tuesday to Monday here, the ratio is, now it's at 235.80, and we're okay paying $50 for returning new customer and 27 for returning. This one's been optimized at 126 for 18. So first click allowed it to see more of what the attribution was going to. However, in this first week, when we imported, look where they were all going, 32.16. Why? This is actually the campaign that still retained the hierarchy and still locked in those users that it knew it can convert, because Andromeda didn't allow them to leave my old campaign that has the hierarchy of seniority. This one took priority. This one's bringing in all the new users. This is what was attributing all the new users. And it was doing so because the essentially kind of like last click, but blended attribution was delivering them all here. So we had 5 first-time clicks, 10 one-day view of new customers. This is when this started to even out. And then our new customers started to increase here, but it was coming mostly from our 24 one-day view. So what was happening? Well, you got to click here and then a re-engagement here of new customers. And then that was still jumping, or that was still taking all the credit, because even though they were coming from here, the model data is doing the same thing that data-driven attribution is doing.
Gotcha. And this is the same. Are these different pixels or the same pixel?
Same pixel.
It is the same pixel. Have you tried this with different pixels or no?
No, you want to do the same pixel. Your pixel is going to do obviously the targeting, but what is showing as a conversion inside that old pixel is what you want to optimize for.
So I know that the pixel itself has different events, and if you add a new event, it will start to optimize towards that new event. However, I wonder if you were to use a separate pixel, it would create it would be a fresh new audience per se, with no lagging data that it's trying to attribute to then say, okay, it might push more into new customers faster than not.
I got it. Yeah. And that there is some of that to be said. And that's what we're actually seeing inside of this company here. We started doing CAPI imports, and we didn't see any new conversions coming in to this new campaign until the 28th. And that's when all of a sudden new customers started to go, much better for basically, higher amount of ad spend. And what happened on the 26th is from the 26th to today, compared to the previous period, here, we end up having to pause our campaigns here. You'll see this is the date where it's like pause the old one here.
Wow. Yeah.
And then add in ad spend here. And then it was like, okay, sounds good. This one went from 0. It will show 0 there. It went from 0 to 6. There we go. It basically had 7 purchases, and now it has
memory, John.
Right now it has 25 purchases. So it went from 7 to 25, and 6 of them are new. And the only reason why it all started flowing into here is because it no longer could attribute here. So this one had 7 with no new customers. Before it had 50 with 14. So 50 and 14 were paused. And then now they're all flowing into here. Why? Well, I had to release all my new customers from here because they're locked into that ad set because they believe they can convert it. So the only way to release it is to pause it, let it flow into here. And now we're finally starting to get all of our new customers into here. And this is what went from like 879 or 869. Yesterday was 377. Today so far we're at 399, and the day just started. So we'll see what this ends at. But now we're finally actually getting some new customer acquisition here. And what's cool about this is knowing that we're actually on the Andromeda update. And when we paused all of our
quick point for those who don't know, Andromeda is just an update inside of Facebook, adds another layer to how they filter people, so it's more personalized.
Yeah, Andromeda will ignore your inclusions and your targeting, ignore your exclusions in your non-targeting, and then allow the creative to actually find the user rather than your targeting.
Yeah, your audience targeting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is only for Advantage Plus though. But that's being pushed out. It's not in every sales campaign yet, I will say.